Hello and welcome to the West Coast Dogman Project. I'm your host, Shane Michael Crisp, and I'm joined alongside my awesome co-host, Mr. Todd Metz, and we're happy to have none other than Mr. Colin Keelty. Colin, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Shane. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey,
Todd.
we're honored to have you to be a part of the first ever UK series. So definitely honored to have you. Todd, how you doing today, brother?
Yeah, good, Shane. How are you guys?
Doing great. I'm excited to hear Colin's interview. So, Colin, for the viewers that don't know a whole lot about you, can you give us a little brief bio on yourself?
All right. Well, my name's Colin Keelty. I grew up in a small town called Withensea, which is on the east coast of the UK. At an early age, I had a sighting when I was 14. It was something that I cannot explain. It actually chased me along the cliffs. It was midnight. It wasn't midnight. It was dark. It was about 4 o'clock in the evening. It was about November time. I don't sure the date. I managed to get home, told my father, and he told me stop being stupid. And it basically went from then. It seemed like my path was towards the dogman and cryptozoology. I had sighting after sighting after sighting, which I cannot explain. And I had 2 frontal sightings, one in 1990 and one in 2015. So I do all the research trying to bulk the existence, to be honest. Even though I know you guys in the US have got billions of sightings, and you must have 500 million acres of woodland, where we've only got about 200 miles of woodland. So it's strange occurrence that you've got so much and we've got so little, but we still have a lot of sightings here. But yeah, this is me here in the UK, and glad to be here. Thank you.
And we're honored to have you. Colin, can you dive into your first encounter? Just explain in 1990 what you were doing, and just like I said, the platform's yours. So if you can give us a bio on what the werewolf dogman creature looked like, and just description of what.
Yeah, sure, Shane. Yeah. I was into it. Like I say, I'd actually done a lot of research, but a lot of my research, you've got to try and think what state of mind I was in. A lot of my research was done it from the USA. All your Bigfoot research and things like that. And the Yowie in Australia, or the wild man in Asia and things like that. Anything in the UK, there was nothing really. There was absolutely nothing documented, apart from the man of the woods, but that was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Anyway, this particular time, I was married. I'm divorced now. We had 1 car, and I worked miles away. Unfortunately, she needed the car for the next day, and I couldn't get to work the next day. There's no bus service. So I decided to walk because I did a lot of backpacking, and it was about 20 miles away where I worked. I decided to walk to a friend that lived closer, and he says, come and stay overnight. At least you can get to work the next morning. So I set off approximately about 5:30 p.m. and headed out. I lived in a city, I'm sure you've all heard of it, as Hull, here in England, a big port city. And I lived in Hull at the time. And I lived on the outskirts of Hull. So where my work was actually on the outskirts of that side of east of Hull. So I set off to a town, a little town called Hornsey, which is a massive place here in the UK for tourism, and I worked there at the time. So I set off about 5:30, started making my way up. Must have been get around about 6:30. I'm about halfway there, and come down this country lane, and it leads up to a place, a little village. There's only a few houses there, called Hatfield. And as I started walking up, it's pitch black, full moon, by the way.
Oh wow!
As I'm walking up, there's a field on my right. And the hedge is totally overgrown, but you could see underneath the hedge just slightly. And I'm walking, I could hear something at this edge following me along. And I sort of looked under the edge, glanced to see what it was, and I thought, is it a cow? And I thought, well, maybe it ain't. No, it's not a cow. And I thought, is it a goat or something like that? And I couldn't make out the foot. And next minute, I saw the foot at the back, and I thought, well, that looks like a dog, but I couldn't see any front paws. I thought, well, this is strange. This is really strange. And anyway, as we were coming up, I could see a gate hole coming up because, like I said, the moon was out and it just lit everything up like it was daylight. It was unbelievable. And as I coming up to this gateway, I could hear this car coming up behind me. So I stepped into the edge to let this car go by. And the car comes shooting by, and next minute his brake lights come on. He reversed back, and it was my mate who I was going to see to sleep at his house. He come looking for me. And so I gets in the car, and I just glances across, and there's this thing stood there. And with that, I must have seen it for only about 3 seconds. With that, he put his foot down because he was a bit of a lead footer, as we call them in the UK. Hit the metal, and he was off. So I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm going, whoa, whoa. Did you see that? Did you see that? And he's going, what? I said, there's a dog stood upright in that field. He said, stop being stupid, blah, blah. You're working too many hours, Col, he says. I said, no, I'm telling you now, there's a dog stood in that field. So anyway, he said, shall I stop and go back? I said, no, because I think I'm putting him out of his way, as it was like. But I can remember there's just them 3 seconds what I got. This thing was puny, really thin. You could see its rib cage. You could actually see it. It was only about, I don't know, maybe about 5 foot, 6 foot, maybe at the most, because it was hunched over. Really thin, really puny. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And after a time, I started having nightmares, and these recurred for about 3 years. Not every night, but maybe I'd have a couple of nightmares, and it'd go away for a few weeks, and it'd come back. But I kept dreaming this thing jumped over and just started to rip me to bits. But as soon as that starts happening, you wake up. But that was my first real sighting. I couldn't get my head around it because I knew every other sighting that I read was in the US, or like I say, the Yowie or whatever. Mm-hmm. There was nothing in the UK as far as I was concerned, so I just could not comprehend what I'd seen. But yeah, that was my first sighting. It was really good. I don't know if any of your researchers have ever come across this, but I felt a connection. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the right word. Yeah, that's my first sighting, Shane. Todd.
Wow. Yeah, no, real quick, before we jump into the second one, a couple questions. How tall was it when it stood upright? What would you say, 6.5, 7 feet?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, it's somewhere between 5 and 6 feet. It seemed really puny, not real big like some of you guys have on my second sighting. But it just seemed really underfed. Them 3 seconds, it's surprising how much you can remember them 3 seconds. But like I say, it was just like it was starving, like it had been starved. You could see its rib cage and everything, like it was just so underfed. Wow. So I don't know. So let's say 5.5 foot ish.
So Colin, Colin, tell us a little bit about what I know it was a very brief encounter, but it seems like this thing is so vivid in your memory. Give us a sense of you give us a sense of the scale, the size. What did this thing remind you of, or what did you think it was when you first saw it? And explain, if any, features that you can remember about
it. To be honest, I really wasn't sure. Like I said, my state of mind then was everything. Nothing happened in the UK. Of all the books I've read and everything, nothing happened in the UK. So I just couldn't get my head around what I'd seen. But what I saw, I'll try and send you a picture, Shane. Because an artist did it for me because I'm terrible at drawing. But it was just thin. It's definitely dog. But really thin, puny. Like I say, 5.5 feet. It was like slightly hunched over. Looking at me.
I think I have that picture. I tried emailing them to myself so I can upload them up on the screen, but my email address wasn't working. So, but I because a news report did a documentary or what you had seen, and then you're holding the picture up of the sketch of the drawing, right? I think if you
it was in the papers. Yes, it was. Yes,
it was in the paper. I wish I could try to pull it up without getting off the interview, but if I can get it up. I will definitely, maybe towards the end, I'll try to see if I can upload it. If not, I'll upload it to our Facebook group for sure.
Yeah, put it on your channel another time. But yeah, that's the best description I can come up with, to be honest, for the first encounter. Anything else?
No, I was like I said, I was poking at any physical features that you remember. Did you remember what its face looked like? Was it the typical werewolf looking face? Was it more a German Shepherd like? What do you recall about that, Colin?
To be honest, Todd, if I had to go for the face features, it'd be more like a German Shepherd type of thing.
Yeah.
Definitely won't like the character werewolves that you see or actually hear about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd go for
But
German Shepherd more than anything else type of
well,
facial
well,
features. It was definitely
yeah,
hairy,
yeah.
but
Well, it's
not a lot of
definitely
hair. I can
interesting.
remember there was a lot of hair on the top of its arms, chest. There didn't seem to be much on its rib cage because you definitely could see its ribs. I think hairy legs, if I remember right, but I'm not. It was slightly in the shadows, even though, like I said, that moon it lit that night up like day.
And like you said, it was only a 3-second encounter, so I mean, it was
Right.
real brief. So, and like most encounters here in the U.S., they are no more than 10 to 30 seconds, if that, because it's. But some people describe it as it felt like an hour because of how much time slows down. But I can only imagine 3 seconds. I mean, it's like you said, how you can remember and grasp the much detail that you got out of just 3 seconds is still mind blowing. So that's awesome.
Well, like I said, I mean, I was into this stuff, so it just stuck in my mind. I made notes, mental notes, and I did actually some footnotes. Do a rough sketch, just always just for backup. Really, I wish my mate in the car, and I'm still in contact. I wish he saw it, but he didn't, so he can't say anything.
Yeah,
and I wish we did go back, but I just felt like I was imposing on him, to be honest, at the time.
So, Colin, after your first sighting in 1990, did you just dive into cryptozoology and just look up everything? Is that where would you say your interest in just cryptozoology, started? Looking for other werewolves?
Yeah, I think I was just coming on to about 15 years old, and like you said, I'd seen several sightings on the cliffs here, and I mean, like over the years, I've done interviews now with fishermen and things like that, and they all describe this hyena type of creature or character, and that's what I saw when I was 14. I've seen it a couple of times now, and but funny enough, I saw a Bigfoot program at the time in the UK. We only had 3 channels, not like now, and I think it was on one of our BBC channels, and it was 5 encounters with Bigfoot, and it was 5 separate stories, and mainly there was all in the outback, in the forests, in log cabins. And when I watched that, my jaw just dropped. I just needed to know more and more and more. I went to school the next day, and my friends told me to shut up because all I kept going on about was this Bigfoot thing. I ran to the library after school and asked if there's any books on Bigfoot, and they just laughed. This is how ridiculed it was in them days. I remember it today. She just laughed the whole place down, even though you're not allowed to make much noise really in the library. But yeah, she laughed. She told me to get to the children's section. I says, no, I've been serious. I want books on Bigfoot. We don't have such thing. They don't exist. So I says, yes, they do. I need books. And I put a request form, and you could put a request form. I don't know if it's the same as US, but then they look along the libraries all the way around England, and they found books. Anyway, they did find one book, and I read that, and I was just blown away, and I needed to know more. So I started to buy with my pocket money. There's a book. There's a magazine. It come out every fortnight, and it was called The Unexplained. And you collected them. You had 15 volumes, and I just collected them all. Not everything was on about Bigfoot. It was about cryptids and everything like that, everything. But I just needed to know more and more and more. The more I know, the better I feel, to be honest. It was only about 15 years ago I started to come out of the closet, as to speak, tell everybody, and they all says, yeah, we know. I'll tell you, I'll put this into perspective. I'm really sorry to go on here, but I met a friend 3 weeks ago, and I hadn't seen for 20 years. And we got talking, how are you, and blah, blah, blah. And I says, oh, by the way, here's my card, because I've got cards printed out with my details on, and I'm a cryptozoologist, how to contact me. And he goes, oh, you're still into this stuff? That's all you went on about when we worked together 20 years ago. And I thought, no, surely I didn't, but I must have done. I must bore people that much. But yeah, no, it's so like 15 years ago, roughly 14, 15 years ago, I've really gone over the board with it, to be honest. Sorry to bore you there.
Oh, right on. No. So it's awesome though that you eventually you came forward with I know having to keep it hidden and like you said, the fear and the ridicule, it had to have been hard to keep that bottled up for so long.
Well, it was absolutely terrible, to be honest. I used to make excuses to go out. That's why I took up backpacking, and I did have an experience in the near the Lake District many years ago. But even though I never saw anything, there was definitely something there. But yeah, I used to take up all sorts of hobbies just to get out and about. Like you say, I'm sure you have a lot of people in the US have had ridicule, and you still do to this day. Even I get it. But every time I spoke to somebody, stop being stupid, grow up, you got all that type of stuff. And it's not good, really. You just get broad shoulders and you just carry on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's with it being 2023 now, I think more people are coming into an understanding, and it seems like there's more of an interest now than 15-20 years ago in cryptozoology. So I mean,
well, it's worldwide, isn't it? I mean,
it is weird. So I don't believe that it's just sightings are increasing. I do believe that to a certain degree, but also believe more people are coming forward with their encounters that are feeling comfortable about saying, hey, this is what I saw, 25 years ago or 30 years ago. And we're able to document it. So, and almost make a timeline on it. So, but I think that's really cool that you were able to come forward with it and just say, hey, what's there to lose? I'm just going to go out there and keep researching.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, I'm sure you lot have had the same thing. Have you, Todd? Have you had the same ridicule or over the years?
Well, Colin, I've never encountered one of these things. I became interested in them about 5 years ago, just via, reading books from Linda Godfrey and kind of get into it. But, I think what we're all talking about here and what Shane is alluding to is, the folks like you and others who've actually had encounters with these creatures have been able now with YouTube and with all of these different streaming and podcast and the ability to get their message out there and to talk to people about it and, come on different programs and shows and be able to discuss your experiences and have you, have it be accepted. I mean, so many people are seeing these things. So many people are seeing, Sasquatch. And, I had a UFO encounter when I was, in my late teens. I told some people about it. And I think the last show we did, Shane, I talked about my encounter a little bit, which I've never done before. Mm-hmm. So I think, Colin, yeah, it's, it's really great that, folks are actually coming out and speaking about these things.
It's definitely has there. The last 8 years, I think it seems to have exploded. Well, definitely in the last 5 years. It's definitely all around the world. No matter who you talk to, now, I'm interested. Where before you would say something, grow up, go on, get off, go on, grow up.
More of an acceptance now, like you said, the last 5 years.
It is, yeah. It has changed a lot. Yeah, it has.
Definitely.
It really has.
Well, Colin, do you mind jumping into your second encounter of 2015 and then explain that and then give details on the creature that you had seen?
Yeah, okay. Well, this is a bit of a weird one because I'm an early man. I'll get up at 2, 3 in the morning, whatever, even 1 o'clock and go out.
Oh, wow.
I have done several, hundreds of times, I think, up to now. Mm-hmm. But this, I got the access to some private woods. I cannot mention them because I have asked if I could mention them and I can't. Mm-hmm. The guy who owned it at the time was American, but he sold it to a British guy now at the moment. But when at the time he was American, managed to trace him down, and I went to speak to him, and he says he ain't got a problem. I had to lie a little bit. I've got to admit there. I told him I was a photographer, and I just wanted to photograph wildlife. Didn't tell him I was going to go in there early hours in the morning, but he told me to go see the farmer. He'll ring the farmer, tell him that that's what I'm just going in there for. Anyway, like I did, I started doing this woods for about a month. I'd had reports from around near that area. To be honest with you, it's only a mile stone throw from my first sighting. And anyway, like I say, I've been doing these woods early hours. I've been sitting in there most days. I do have a ghillie suit and I have a camera. And usually I'll try and get there early hours. I'll hunker down somewhere and I'll sit there for a couple of hours, move somewhere else, sit there. Not a greatest big woods these are, but it seemed to. I kept hearing, "Hello, Seems to have lost it. Are we still there, Shane?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Yeah. Sorry, the screen went blank.
Oh, did it? Oh,
sorry about that. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, you're good.
Did I go blank?
Right.
I don't know what happened there. Anyway, sorry about it. Anyway, like I said, I've been doing these woods for a while. And this particular morning, I decided to get up really early. I got all my gear ready. Well, I thought I had all my gear ready. And alarm goes off, 3 o'clock. I was going to get down there just for first light and have a look around, spend half a day there, looking for prints, etc. And I thought, I'm just going to have a snooze. I pressed my snooze on my phone, and that was it. I didn't wake up until 8 o'clock. And as soon as you see your phone, no. I jumps out of bed, gets my gear on, grabs my rucksack, realise I ain't got any pack up. So I stopped off at a local garage quickly, which is out my way, and I grabbed a bag of crisps and a drink, and I sort off to these woods. Anyway, going up to these woods, it's like a gravel track, and it really is noisy, as you know, walking on gravel. So I used to stick to the edge where there's a bit of grass. So I used to walk up this gravel track on the edge. And there's a gate to the woods. It's a farmer's gate, but it really does creak. But I've learned over the last few weeks to slowly do the hinge, slowly push it, and it don't creak. Well, part of this forest, there's a new forest being planted. And I'd say it was only about waist height, maybe 3-4 foot in height, this new woods. You had to walk through that to get to the old part of the woods. Anyway, I shut the gate really quietly and I just started walking, and something in my right eye just got up and ran. About fox size, small dog size. Anyway, I just thought, I didn't know what it was, and I just hit the ground, hid under the sort of like grass under these small trees that was growing, and I stopped there for a bit. Anyway, as I got up, something big ran, and I just thought, it was a deer, and it's full maybe, but it's something being big. So I stayed low down for a bit. And I thought, well, after a bit, and I slowly rose my head up above these new trees, and I looked, and I couldn't see anything. So I thought, well, I'll make my way through the new trees up to where this deer ran, what I thought was a deer. I thought it might make a good picture because I had my camera with me. I just thought there was something to do at the time. And I walked through. I must have walked about 4 foot, and there was this massive pile of poo. And I tell you now, it was like that, with your hand on top again. It was a massive pile of meaty poo.
Wow.
That actually shook me really. And I thought, what the heck's made that? And after a bit, I thought, I'll stop being stupid, Cole. I've been caught out being in the, outside. I always carry a toilet roll in my backpack. I mean, I've had to do calls of nature, and I'm sure other researchers had to. Mm-hmm. I thought, I'll stop being stupid, Cole. Somebody else must be using these woods. So anyway, I continued on, and with that, I come across this big flattened mound about 4 foot across. It was just almost like a perfect circle, all flattened down, like something had been bedding into it. Mm-hmm. I thought, what the heck's made that? I thought, again, stop being stupid. There's probably somebody else using the woods. A twitcher, one of these bird spotters, is being hunkered down here. Maybe a couple of days ago, whatever, because I never noticed it a few days before. So I just shrugged it off, and I wish I took a photo now, and I didn't. I had my camera phone, but my the camera that I was taking, which is a Nikon, had a 600mm lens, so I couldn't take a picture of this circle with that big lens. But I wish I got my phone out and took a picture. Anyway, I just shrugged it off, being daft. Anyway, I started walking through the new woods, going up to the old woods, and there's a stream running through with a small bridge, and what it is one of these storage concrete round circle storage pipes. It's only a section of it. It's about, I don't know, 4 or 5 foot, whatever they are. It's been put in the dike or in the ditch, so people can cross really. And I started getting this smell. I thought that stream's gone stagnant. I thought, this is putrid. And I thought, wet dog. I thought, that stinks. Anyway, I got up to the bridge and I walked across it. And onto my side, it's all overgrown on my right hand side, as far as the eye can see. And I'm walking down on it, thud, thud, thud. I thought somebody's over there. So I stopped and I shouted, "Excuse me," I says, "My name's Colin Keelty. I'm a photographer. I've got permission to be in these woods." No reply. I thought, that's strange. So I started walking a bit more. Here's it again, following me again. So I shouts, "My name's Colin Keelty. I'm a photographer. I have permission to be in these woods. Who is it?" No answer. I thought, well, this is strange. There's definitely somebody there. And all the time, all the hairs on the back of my neck, everything was standing up, and I felt fear. I was getting the, is it the Oz effect? Where everything goes quiet, everything just died. No bed noise, nothing. Anyway, I thought, have a look under the undergrowth, see if I can see any legs, see any boots. So I gets down on all fours. I don't know if it was the right thing to do at the time, but anyway, I got all down on all fours, looking under the undergrowth, couldn't see a thing. I thought, there's definitely somebody there. So I starts walking, I could hear it, boom, boom. I gets to this clearing, and I just turn to my right, and it was what I say. Well, I say it was a dog man. A lot of people say it was a Bigfoot, but I didn't see a full face feature because of the tree, the way the tree come down. But I saw from about the waist to the chest, and far as I'm concerned, that was Arnold Schwarzenegger's double. It was just rippling with muscle, fur, and it was just stood there. And I just got out of there. I didn't run. I always tell people, don't run. I walked up there quick as I can, up through the new plantation, back to my car, and went home. And I was pacing up and down all day. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? But yeah, the fear just overtook, and I wish I did a lot of other things, but I didn't.
Sure.
I mean, I keep saying that was the dog man, but because of the smell. Now, I didn't get a full face recognition. A lot of researchers, even in the US, I spoke to, and a lot of them say that could have been a Bigfoot. Now, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it shouldn't have been there, type of thing.
Right.
Now, I don't know if there's a porthole that opens or what, but I did get the Oz effect where everything, as soon as I got out of there, I could hear the birds again and everything. Even the stream went through it. I didn't even hear the stream running.
Wow.
Yeah.
Colin, how long did that encounter last?
From walking down over that pipe to there, I'd say, I don't know, about 3 minutes, maybe, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Maybe 3 to 4 minutes.
And this was this early morning? Give us a sense of the time frame again.
About 8:30. Like I say, I meant to get into that woods very early hours, but something strange happened that day. Something told me not to go until that time. Something stopped me. I never oversleep, and I always have my pack up ready, and I never even had my pack up ready that night. Everything went against me that morning. That's why I was so late getting to these woods. I can't explain it. I really can't, Tom. Yeah. But that sighting, I remember laying in the bath that night and I was kicking myself. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I get my phone out? Why didn't I? But people, you do, don't you? But you train your mind over time. And I think next sighting, which would, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be there. Come on, let's shake paws and hands and be friends. Hopefully.
Wow.
But yeah, that was, I remember the fear, and I remember all the hairs on the back of my neck and everywhere was just stood up.
Well,
definitely.
Colin, in your opinion, what do you think it was? Like you said, you only got the torso that you saw, but do you believe it was more? It almost sounds like it fits the description of a dog, man. You said it smelled like a wet dog, putrid smell. It had the Arnold Schwarzenegger-like body. So
yeah,
do you lean more towards the dog man, or do you lean more towards the Sasquatch?
Well, I go to, but I was just going on the smell. That's why I says it was my second dogman sighting. But like I say, a lot of researchers, even UK and US, that I've spoken to over the years, they all says, "Oh, that sounds like a Bigfoot." Well, I said, "Well, I don't know the smell," and they all says the smell is similar. Now, I don't know. I'm no expert on the Bigfoot. So I'm going for the dogman type of aspect due for the smell, really. Compared to that face sighting, this was Arnold Schwarzenegger. It definitely was. But what that little thing was that run off when I first went into new plantation, I don't know. Was it a little dog man? Was it a young'un? I don't know. I didn't get a glimpse. I just saw it at the corner of my eye run, and the grass is really long as well around these new trees. And once something gets in that grass, you can't see it. So I really don't know. I just kicked myself. I never did go back. I went to see the owner. But then he said, and I told him I'd had some experience in there, which I couldn't explain. And he says, "Can I mention it?" And he says, "No, I'd rather you didn't." But like I say, it is owned by somebody else now, a British company that owns this woods. But I don't want to mention it in case of any legal reasons, really, to be honest.
Oh yeah, totally understand that. We don't want to get in trouble or anything like that. But just to have you explain that encounter is just terrifying.
I know.
So.
He says it wouldn't do, well, actually there's a little tourist spot not far from it, to be honest, and and beyond that as well, it comes with the woods. And it says if it get out there, it might just stop the tourist type of aspect, which I can understand. That it might actually gain it nowadays. Like I say, it has been a bit of time since that last encounter, so you never know.
Wow.
People do flock there to these sightings when they've seen them, so yeah. So that was my second one.
Wow, you gave some really compelling information to us. That's it's pretty crazy stuff, and it's awesome that you're talking about that. Did it make any sounds that you recall? Did you hear it panting? Was it was there any any other kind of sounds? Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. The only thing I heard was its footsteps. It was definitely heavy. Yeah. I thought it was somebody on the other side. The guy who owned it, he did tell me, watch out from now and again. There is some guys in there that maintain the woods. So just watch out for him, he says. And I thought it was one of them guys. Obviously, it wasn't. So, but definitely heard its footsteps because it was heavy. Yes. I wouldn't even like to say this. What this thing? It must be 300 pound plus easy, more.
Well, that was my next question.
It was a huge bulk.
That was my next question on what you thought the thing weighed.
I wouldn't even like to estimate, but it was definitely. I think it probably weigh more than us three put together, probably.
No doubt.
Yeah, sounds massive.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's kind of interesting how you had that primal fear kind of take over when you knew there was definitely something out of place and not right. You could definitely feel that type of situation come on you, and but you didn't panic, you didn't run, you tried to figure out what it was. So it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, like says. Go ahead, Colin. Sorry. Oh,
hello.
Froze you.
Yeah, go on.
There you are.
Yeah, it froze. Are we in?
Yeah, there you are. He froze up for a second.
Yeah, it did this side for some reason.
Yeah, no, just like Seeker said, it's just you listen to your intuition. Sometimes the woods just don't feel right. I mean, like you said, the back of your hair on your neck stood up. It's just sometimes it's better not to go seek it.
To be honest, I get a lot of questions. A lot of people email me. Well, not a real lot, but quite a few. They say, "How do I start looking for these things? And what equipment do I need?" And then my first answer is the best equipment that you ever have is that up there, your mind.
Exactly.
Get your mind in the right set of frame. Out there, guys, to be honest, the danger is real. Fear is a choice. I've trained myself over the years now, ever since then, to try and put fear at the back of my mind. I know fear is always there, and your mind does play tricks, and I try and put it at the back of there, and I continue on and focus. But that is the best tool you'll ever own. And people say, what equipment do you use? No, use your mind. But wear camera.
Definitely be open-minded too, right?
Yeah, open-minded. That's the best advice I can give anybody. But it was definitely the Oz effect, which I think was it Jenny Randall in 83 mentioned it. That's how the phrase got coined. I might have the date wrong there, but she was doing some UFO research, and people kept saying it went quiet, no noise. So she phrased it the Oz factor. So, but yeah, definitely, I remember everything. I didn't even hear the streaming. Usually, you could hear the stream. It's quite loud. Everything, birds went. It's just like being in a bubble. And I have experienced that in Dane Dyke a few times actually over the last few years. The same thing.
Well, it's quite interesting. It's interesting too to note that we've talked about this in the past, that a number of encounters and sightings seem to take place near rivers and in wetlands and water areas.
Overhead, yeah, we do lots of rivers, canals, straight lines seem to occur a lot, and overhead power lines. It's strange, isn't it? What do you make of all this, Todd? What do you think? Obviously there is some connection.
Well, I tell you, I was talking about on a show the other day that I was on, and there's the percentages of sightings in these areas are extremely high. I have no idea, what the connection is, whether it's, if these are flesh and blood creatures and they need food, and they need to eat, if that's the case, and they're not 100% paranormal or whatever, it makes sense to me that they're going to be near water sources. The other thing is, why are they near crossroads? Why are they near cemeteries or graveyards, things like that? Other kind of bizarre things that kind of throw the paranormal piece into it. So there's so many different connections that need to be explored. So
we get quite a few on ley lines as well. Look on map on the ley line. I'm in my second study, but I've got a big study downstairs. I have a map of the UK. Every documented sighting I've got on a pin. Put pins in. I was looking for patterns years ago, but there is no set patterns really.
Mm-hmm. That was going to be my question to you, Colin. I noticed you.
Sorry, Shane?
No, you're good. Sorry about that. I was just going to say, I saw that picture of where you have the map pinned out. How many, if you don't mind me asking, how many sightings have you pinned on your map? Is there more than 30? Or do you have like a rough number? Or
I wouldn't like to say there's got to be excess of 50 that I've documented. Got to be. Wow. I mean, they're not all happened in 1 year. Obviously, some have happened in the 60s and 70s up to present day. So, and soon as I get a location, I just put a pin. But I have a grid system where the red pins are dogmen, the black pins are Bigfoot, or unknown cryptids is a blue one. So I try to look for a pattern. There is like a certain area where you seem to get quite a few clusters, but then they're just spread everywhere. What I have come across, I don't know if any other researchers have, these things, I don't know about Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but seem to pick on people with, pardon the expression, but mental disorders, or they're going through a rough time, maybe divorce or something like that, or they're autism or something like that. Not everyone, I'd say about 80% that I've interviewed, they're like Tony and Nancy when he saw that one on the golf course. He just lost his dad to cancer. Another guy was going through a divorce. Another guy was really going through stress through moving. Another guy had autism. So, it seems to target the vulnerable, if that is the right word. It might not be the right word, but how do you feel about this? Do you think that is possible, or?
Well, anything's possible on that. And there is some reports in the U.S. where, like you said, if you're going through a divorce, they pick up on the negative energy, I think, and maybe that's where they probably make themselves known, or they just pick up on different frequencies. This is the type of vibe that you give off. If you're negative, you're more likely going to see a chance. I mean, everything's theory based for sure, but I've read a few encounters where people were, like you said, go through a divorce, someone had passed on, or they give off that negative energy and that frequency, and then that's when the sightings happen or appear.
No, you're right, Shane.
Yeah, that's really interesting to say that. I've not, in my research over the years, that's the first time I've heard of that. I mean, I've heard some, of negative energy and frequency changes and things like that. Where you got to track these things. The other thing too is a lot of people have said, well, where do I go out and find these things? In my opinion, you're not going to find them; they're going to find you.
Exactly.
And maybe because of what you guys are just talking about with people who have been through trauma, or they've had problems in their lives, or they're giving off negative energies, and maybe they are more susceptible, to seeing these things. So, from your experience, Colin, and you've had a couple of encounters here, were there any negative things going on in your life at that time when you saw these things as a person, from a personal note?
To be honest,
you don't have to answer that.
I haven't told many people this, but we was going through a messy relationship. To be honest, I was married. I'm divorced now. I'm totally on my own. But that second time, no, I was divorced. I was. Everything was good, really, to be honest. So it was a bit strange on that second one. But like I say, not every encounter that I've or or people that I've interviewed are going through any stress. It's just they're in the wrong place at the right time, or is it the right place at the right time? I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It depends how you look at it, doesn't it? Really.
It's exactly. It depends on where you look and what the situation is. Like you said, it could be just bad negative energies, but these things do pick up on negative energies and frequencies. That's where I think almost the paranormal aspect comes into these things, whether they're 100% flesh and blood. So, I mean, if they pick up on that negative energy, well, maybe that's where they attract to it. Just like demonic forces, they pick up on negative energy, and unfortunately, that stuff happens. But yeah, Colin, to go on with your research, have you got to do a whole lot of boots on the ground research this year or within the last year?
That's all I do, Shane, to be honest. Yeah, I'm boots on the ground. I'm out there every. I'll be honest, I ain't been out this weekend. Like I say, I'm on my own. I don't want to honk on about this, but I have one income. I rent this place. I work miles away. I have one car. My car's just, I don't know, you guys over there, do you have an MOT thing on cars? Do you have a MOT certificate? We have an MOT certificate on a car every year. It goes in to get checked to make sure everything's okay and it's roadworthy. We've got to do it every year. Mine's just failed miserably. It's going to cost £100, which I don't really have. But I try. I have to budget for everything I do. But even if I can just get a mile up the road, I'm out every weekend. I mean, you ask any researcher, I'm out every time. I love it. Wow. The more I'm out there, the better I feel. But I aren't able to get out anywhere this weekend, to be honest. Apart from local, I've been down to the churchyard. I get there early hours. It opens onto a big field where I am. I'm in the middle of a countryside. Yeah, I do walk around there in the morning. I've never had any sightings or anything, but you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you get out there and you're, ever since these encounters, it's got to stick with you. It's something that, very few people have the opportunity, if you want to call it that, to see these things. And to now you being out there now trying to figure out what this stuff is, talking to people, trying to investigate it on your own, that's how we're going to figure out what this thing is. That's how we're going to try to solve this phenomenon, or maybe not solve it, but at least understand it better than we understand it now. Some folks like you, getting out there in the field and trying to investigate these things, and that's what we try to do back here in the U.S. There's a lot of researchers out there that are out there in the field.
Oh, there is some awesome ones in the U.S.
Yeah, well, I'm an older fella now. I don't get out there as much as I used to, but I wasn't out there at the time investigating dogmen or Bigfoot. But I used to be out in the field all the hunting and fishing and whatnot. But needless to say, it's good that folks are out there. They're trying to understand what this phenomenon is, and it's guys like you and gals are going to find out hopefully what this thing is at some point.
Oh, I'm hoping so. This is why we do our research, to be honest. But yeah, I'm a field researcher. I keep classing myself more of a field researcher. Obviously, the equipment. I've got night vision, trail cameras, which I don't believe in, to be honest. But I have just been taught a trick with the trail cameras. I don't know if you guys come across this, but I have put the trail cameras out a few times during the night, just before night time, gone back early hours. I've even gone into some woods at 2 o'clock in the morning and pick these up. One time I was going, again, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was going to pick the trail cameras up because I had to get there and get out, to be honest. It's a long story. But as I was going in, I could see the red beam from the trail camera. I thought, wow. At first I thought, what is it? And your man starts playing tricks. The more I walked up, I thought, it's my trail cam. And I was on about some researchers in the US there, and they says, what you want is some blue acetate film, cut it out, cover your square where your light is or whatever it is, and put it over, and you don't see the red glow, but it still works just as good. So I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to try it hopefully soon.
I've heard about the trail cam.
I think, what do you think on trail cameras, Todd, Shane? Because I can see them. So if I can see the light, I'm sure they can.
Well, a lot of them operate on infrared too, and from what I understand, it's certainly it's been kind of looked at and proven over the course of time. And you see some of these trail cams kind of disappear, get ripped off the trees by different type of
I've lost one. Yeah.
Issues. Yeah. So, and sometimes a hairy arm or something will show up in that area. So can these creatures, can they see in the infrared? I mean, if you look at wolves have a specific spectrum of, of light that they can see. We could see a whole lot better in certain spectrums than they can, but they can see further and in different spectrums. So they can certainly pick up, infrared. And maybe that's something that if you could try to mask that and hide it, maybe there's a better chance of being able to get some shots of some of these things. So the more stealthy, in my opinion, that we're able to look at this stuff in the woods via trail cam or other devices that keeps it more hidden and stealthy to these creatures, the better chance we are having to get a picture of them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But like I say, with this blue acetate, if you put it over, they reckon they can't see it. Now, I know we only see, is it 3-5% of the light spectrum?
Yep,
I did a bit of research on it years ago. I can't remember the percentage now, but it's very low compared to the rest of the animal kingdom. What do you think to this pheromone stuff? I know quite a few guys in the UK have tried this pheromone. I'm not a big lover of it, to be honest. I was talking to a guy in the US about a year ago, and I don't want to give his name just in case, but I'm sure he'd appreciate me shouting out his name. But he told me he started putting out tobacco, not for the dog man, but for Bigfoot, and he's had a lot of success with tobacco. Now that's a tobacco, and it really shocked me, to be honest. I never even thought that. I have left meat out and things like that, but I don't seem to get any hits. But what do you think this could be down to, or do you have any advice on this, Todd, Shane? What do you think to the pheromone stuff? Do you believe in this?
Well, I've listened to some people talk about it. There's some people that use it out here in the States. I don't think they've had great success with it. I don't know personally if it would work. I don't know we don't know enough about the anatomy of these creatures to be able to really pick and choose what type of things would work to lure them in. I don't think we know enough about them, from a anatomical or from a physiological standpoint. So in my opinion, we have to keep experimenting with different techniques and keep trying different things until you try to get hit. So I think thinking definitely, and you hate to use the old term, think out of the box, but that's really what is needed in order to try to draw these things in and to try to get them to show themselves. So the more things we try, the more things we talk about, from and I'm not a Bigfoot researcher. I don't know a lot about those creatures, but I'm not sure I fully agree with the gifting thing, leaving out little trinkets and things like that. I'm not sure I really agree with that, but that's just me. A lot of people would disagree. And that works, and they move things around and they do different things. I don't think Dogman fits into that category at all, but it's like Shane has always said, it's speculation and it's theory based. But I think the more we experiment with it, the better chance we will have of luring one and getting them to show themselves.
No, you're absolutely right there, Todd. I mean, I'm not, like I say, I'm not a big believer in these pheromone chips. I have tried these hunters. We have like a whistle, but it's like an injured rabbit whistle. I have tried that a few times, trying to draw things in. I've had no success. Like I say, I've tried meat. I've even tried sweets, thinking there might be sweet tooth. I've had nothing, to be honest. I know, like I say, a lot of the UK guys have started doing these pheromone chips from the US. Personally, I don't believe in them. But that's my opinion. I could be wrong, totally wrong.
Well, Colin, like what Todd was saying, I mean, I don't agree with gifting, but I know when people say if you are gifting Sasquatch, tobacco is actually a really good thing to use for the Bigfoot. Dogman, on the other hand, Vic Cundiff actually talks about it on his show that he caught the best trail camera footage of a dogman was a gentleman out here in California in the Sierra Nevadas put beef jerky on the end of a stick about 5 feet in front of a trail cam and these two creatures walked by, and one picked up the beef jerky, ate it, and then snarled inside the camera and walked off. There used to be a link to be able to see those photos, but YouTube removed it a long time ago. So, I mean, obviously, we just have to go off of what Vic has told us, and I believe Vic to be a very credible person because, I mean, he's got over 450 episodes on his channel. So there's also that. But then also going back to the trail cam, another thing is not just the infrared, but the petroleum-based, plastic that it's made out of. These things can pick up on that. The battery smells. Yeah. And like Seeker in the chat said, you want to try to cover that up. So if you can hide it in a piece of, lumber or pheromones, that's another theory-based thing that if you watch Hellbent Holler, they tried doing the pheromones, the wolf pheromones out there in the LBL. And I think they actually got a little luck on it. I mean, it's still subjective to what they saw, but I believe it did draw in something in the LBL.
Right, okay. I think it depends on location, doesn't it? But I mean, quite a few of the USA guys that I have spoke to says that they're a waste of time. What research I have done on seems to be a waste of time. Like I say, who am I to say? I've never tried them. I don't know. It depends. It might work in one area, work in another area. So, anything's worth a go, innit? Even beating a drum or screaming. I've even tried to get a female that I know to come out and start screaming, but you won't.
Yeah. Well, just like Ancient Ruby said, oh, go ahead, Todd. Sorry.
No. It's just the only thing I was going to mention was, you're out there trying different things, and like I said, I think that's the key to all of this is thinking outside the box and trying different things. And if they don't, give it a chance. Don't just do it once or twice. Do it 3 or 4 or 5 times and see if you can't just try one experiment and expect the result to be perfect. So you keep experimenting and extrapolating that experiment and expanding it and moving it bigger and out from its center to try to be able to lure these things in. And I think that you're looking at, you never know. Eventually one of them might work, and that'll be the key to this thing.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I try everything in different areas, and I'll try different things, and I'll go back to something. I'll keep trying. But yeah, that's the key. That really is the key. Perseverance, so to say.
Perseverance.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, Colin, we're almost coming up to the 1 hour mark. Where can people find you?
I can give you some information, but you can find me on Facebook. I'm on most of the media sites. My webpage is colinkeelty.com if you want to contact me through there. I can give you my email addresses, whatever you want. But I mean, if anybody's got any reports from the UK and don't feel like coming forward but would like to talk to me, please get in touch and I'll ring you. I don't expect you to pay for everything, but I'll ring you and have a good chat and we'll sort something out. I've just had a report, funny enough, from a police officer, a local police officer.
Oh, wow.
Something ran in front of his car 3 weeks ago. He can't explain it. I'm not allowed to give his name out or even the time or date because they were able to locate him. Reported it back at the station. And he just got a bit of ridicule. But then he decided to go on the internet. He couldn't believe what was coming up on the internet. So, yeah, anybody out there wants to talk to me, feel free. I don't bite. So I'm always open to ears, open man. I'm here to help. I think
smaller than
you actually give a bit of a, like a service. I'll tell you about this Tony in Hornsey. He just lost his father, like I said, like they picked up, and he lost his father to cancer. I'll try and be quick, Shane. Sorry. And so he used to have a quick fag before he went home, and he promised his mum to stop smoking, his mother, and so he used to have a quick fag in his car before he went home. Bit of aftershave, a few polo mints in his mouth to get rid of the. And he went into the golf course at Hornsey, and it was just starting to get dark. And he rolled a quick fag and had a fag, and he's just down rolling it, and he just put in his mouth lit, and he saw this shadow go back, and he looked up, and he said the fag just dropped out of my mouth. Then he saw this thing go past. He started his car, reversed out, then gone. And
Wow.
like I say, when I saw him, this is the first time I've ever heard anybody say this. Anyway, he says, "I saw a Great Dane on 2 legs walk past the front of my car." And when he went home, told people at work, and everybody just ridiculed him. Everybody started laughing. And, grow up, idiot, grow up. And when I went down to see him, a friend of his told him about me, and he contacted me. After he told me his story, he just flung his arms around me and hugged me. And he says, thank you. He says it's been hurting inside and I don't tell anybody. And I was a bit shocked really. And I thought, wow, yeah, great, But yeah, I suppose we do provide a service and it gets it out of people's systems. So if there is anybody out there and it's building up in their system, get in touch with one of us guys. Just tell us.
And Colin, you have a successful podcast yourself called The Dark 66, right?
Well, I keep putting stuff up there, taking it off, but people keep saying, oh, come on, Colin, do some more. I'm a bit of a researcher, and I'm in the background all the time. I just go out, do what I do. So I have got things up and coming, let's say that. So people keep nagging me, so I'm going to start doing more stuff.
Well, that's good to hear. We want to see more of you.
So I'll buy you more.
Oh, you definitely. You just let us know when you want to come on for a part 2. We're going to be definitely. We're doing a UK series right now. So, like I said, it was great having you on, Colin. It's a true honor. We couldn't thank you enough for joining us.
Wow. When you contacted me, Shane, I was blown away, to be honest. I thought, wow. But yeah, if I can come back on, I can get my file out and I can go through case notes if you want and encounters.
Yeah.
If you want, that's up to you. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Shane.
We want that connection between the US and the UK.
Yeah, I do. I mean,
definitely. And,
I do talk to a lot of you guys over there, and you are absolutely awesome. And I am absolutely jealous because you've got all that woodland and we've got now.
Oh,
I am jealous. There's one thing, if I won the lottery, I'd be over there.
Hey, Shane, Colin, let me ask you a question about before we let you go.
Yep.
I know that England, during the 17th and 18th century, had been pretty much deforested. In southeastern, if I can remember, southeastern England seems to have more woodland. Now, correct me, please, if I'm incorrect here. Seems to have more
Scotland's got the most one. Mm-hmm. There's pockets of woodland all over. I mean, I think you've got, is it 5 million acres of woodland all together?
I think so.
Our Galloway Forest up in Scotland, which I have been once, but I haven't been totally. I think that's about 300 square miles. Kielder Forest is about, I'm not sure, I'm trying to go off of memory, maybe about 100 miles square radius. Then we have New Forest, that's quite big, but not very big. We have little patches of forest around here, but not, 10, 15 minutes you've walked through them, not like you guys. You can walk for 3 hours and you're still not even in the middle.
Right.
You can walk for days. So here's an interesting kind of a comparison. So I kind of always liken to go back to southeastern Wisconsin with the Beast of Bray Road and look at the topography of southeastern Wisconsin. Being you think of Wisconsin here in the States as mostly prairie land, and there's intermittent pockets of woods.
I mean, Linda Godfrey said that, didn't she? So
Yep. So I think your terrain in the UK in certain areas, Wisconsin in those areas. So there's wetlands, there's certainly bogs. Certainly bogs and things like that, and stream beds and rivers and pockets of dense forest, but there's a lot of prairie, and those creatures are still seen in those areas. So they are. It's very, very similar to what you have over in the UK.
Yeah, we get across here. I mean, I've got a few cases where people have just seen these things in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a field. But yeah. Well, I don't suppose it depends on where you are, really. But yeah, it does seem to stick to, like you say, rivers, canals, overhead power lines, railway lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys have got it over there. Where over here, I mean, we do get a lot of sightings, and I do get a lot of sightings that we have greenways over here in between industrial sites. There'll be a greenway, and I've had quite a few sightings, even from there was a factory where these guys was on the break and something went running through the brush at the back of this factory where the greenway is. It's just connecting countryside to countryside, and we call them greenways. I've had a few reports, and people, like I said, there must have been about 5-6 guys sees this thing running through. It was huge, whatever it was. I'm not sure if it was a deer, but there again, there says how many deer stands on 2 legs. So yeah, so they do move around, I think, in the UK. I've had reports of underground tunnel systems. I've been looking into a few. I know a lot of people. We have the Humber Bridge. Have you heard of the Humber Bridge? I'm sure you have. Mm-hmm. There's a park next to it, which they quarried out for the Humber Bridge, and they call it Little Switzerland because apparently it reminds everybody of Switzerland. But there's huge rocks in there. I've had a number of reports out of there, and a woman and a man was walking a dog early hours in the morning. It just turned light. Was walking the dogs. Walked in, and there's this thing stood upright. Saw them. It turned. It ran. It climbed up a rock, went under the ivy. Ivy is going down the rock, and they could see this ivy rippling as it was moving along. And next minute, it just disappeared. Anyway, I went to investigate it. A couple of weeks later, I went back again, and there's some guys training on this rock, abseiling. They're teaching some young students. I says, "Excuse me." I says, "Any tunnels up there?" He says, "No." I says, "Are you sure?" He says, "Yep." So that was another mystery, why this thing just disappeared into thin air. But I know you guys in the US have a lot of people who have tracked Bigfoot and next minute it's disappeared, and Dogman, and I know we have. 1 minute it's there, next minute it's gone.
Yeah.
Is it flesh and blood? Or is it extraterrestrial? Is it UFO related? Who knows? We don't know. Sorry, I'm rattling on there, Jane. I'm taking over.
No, you're good. Like I said, we can go on for an hour and a half if you wanted to. The platform's yours. We're just we're just so interested in hearing what you guys have over in the UK. So we're just sitting here, just listening and soaking it all in. So I mean, and like Todd said earlier, it's good to have the UK reports go along with the US reports because there's so many similarities with what, like you said, you see the one footprint and then all of a sudden they vanish. So are they interdimensional? Yeah. Are they paranormal? There's definitely a paranormal aspect to them. So who knows, really? I bet if we can combine all these reports and sightings together, we can almost kind of put the puzzle together, like Todd was saying earlier in the interview.
We're good. I've had a lot of prints sent to me. Some recently actually, but I have come across myself one print, and it must have been 15 foot before another print.
Wow.
Where the heck has that got there? The gap was absolutely phenomenal. We come across one. There was one print, but no anywhere else. A farmer sent me a print, and I'll tell you now, it was the size of a saucer, and it was just one print, nothing else around. I did put trail cameras up down there, but never got anything. So.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like the stride in between these things are just phenomenal.
Well, like you say, I like to think these things are flesh and blood, and I'd like to shake one by the paw one day. But are they flesh and blood? I don't know. They seem flesh and blood. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
That's my theory on it. Like Ancient Ruby said, they're not 100%. They are 100% not paranormal, and their opinion, because of what they saw, was flesh and blood. My personal opinion, if they're here and they're eating on a carcass, or you see them huffing and puffing, that's flesh and blood. But then when you see the one footprint and then they're gone, do they have a paranormal aspect to it? So that's just my theory on it. But so
yeah, sorry,
I definitely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with that. I don't believe that they're 100% paranormal for sure. I think they're, my own opinion is they're flesh and blood. And even if they are interdimensional, we've talked about this before. If they come through some sort of an interdimensional pathway or portal, they become flesh and blood if they're here. Maybe that's the case. They're carbon based. Wherever they come from, if there's a UFO UAP connection, and these things are coming from somewhere else as they come and make themselves appear here. But yeah, it seems to me that and Linda Godfrey, I followed her at the beginning, and she called it the indigenous dog man, upright canines. Are they some sort of a hybrid wolf? Are they, there's so many different theories out there, but the more facts we could try to put to these theories, the closer we'll get to figuring out what these things are. And that's what we're all about here at West Coast Dogman Project and NEP, is to try to, put as many facts to this thing as possible to try to figure out what the phenomenon is.
I agree.
I think, sorry, Shane. I think something comes from the direwolf theory. That used to roam the earth hundreds of years ago.
Right.
But I know we've had reports over here of people seeing these things with dogs under them, dead dogs. Dogs have been going missing. There's been areas where the population seems to dwindle really quick, and next minute it's all right. But I read something last year, and I wanted to do some research, and I can't remember the guy's name now. And I know he's USA based. He's a professor, and he did a lot of research on these lakes, like Lake Champlain. It's got the monster, Loch Ness monster, and he come across all these areas where these things have been seen. There's vast amounts of quartz, like these leylands. And as we all know, there's quartz watches. Quartz transmit electricity, or can carry electricity. So his theory was, I wish I could remember his name now, but his theory was, are these quartz areas that are really high quantity of quartz opening some type of portal, letting these creatures in for a couple of minutes or whatever, the next minute sucking them back. That was quite an interesting theory, this guy, Professor. Yeah. I wish I had wrote it down, but I know it was US based. But that was quite an interesting theory about all the quartz.
Yeah, wow. Quartz is one of those, and we have a lot of quartz here in the States. That's an interesting little piece of information. Is areas that have high concentrations of quartz, and we know from science that quartz has definite interesting characteristics about it with its frequency capabilities, the way that it reacts. It almost puts off its own energy in certain ways. It's a really interesting mineral, and it's certainly a beautiful looking mineral in its raw state.
I've got some.
Yeah, I do too in my collection back east. I'm out here in the west now, but I have a lot of quartz crystals, and they even use them, in tarot reading and different paranormal type things like that as well. Folks use quartz for different things, which I don't understand, but and I'm not into that type of thing. But that's a really interesting point to make, Colin. Thanks for bringing that little story out there.
Well, just not.
Yeah, I'll try to find his name, but sorry, Shane.
No, go ahead. I just wanted to throw in there. No. Limestone also is a big. I don't know what it is. If it's like Todd was saying with the quartz, if there's a natural element or energy to it, but there's a lot of dogman sightings, especially in Kentucky, where there's a lot of limestones. And then it's also mentioned in the Texas Dogman Triangle. Aaron Deese writes about the limestone connections with these upright canid sightings. So is there something to do with it? I mean, there's got to be some elements to what these things give off. I mean, quartz, limestone, different types of bedrock.
Is it some type of power base that they maybe pick up on? I don't know. I know, like I say, this researcher, like when he did Loch Ness, the amount of quartz in Loch Ness was unbelievable. Lake Champlain, again, all these creatures around the world that are seeing high quartz. I don't know, but that's an interesting theory, that, Shane. I know we have what they call Bempton Triangle down here, and we a great guy, a great friend here, and lives up the road, Paul Sinclair. Just fantastic research, and he, like I said, is a fantastic friend. He does a lot of that Bempton area, and I think that has limestone in. I know it definitely has chalk, but the area is just humming with all sorts of encounters, from UFOs to dogmen.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the triangle, because I mean, Todd recently told me a few weeks back about the triangles over in Connecticut, and what we love it, and like Aaron Deese, we interviewed him about 2-3 weeks ago, and he wrote the book, The Texas Dogman Triangle, we obviously like triangles, whether it's in the paranormal aspect or in the cryptid field. But there seems to be a connection with, like you guys mentioned in the UK, you have a triangle of sightings. Todd mentioned one over in the northeast of the United States. A lot of weird paranormal stuff. So, I mean, what is it? Just like the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, just to throw that out there. A lot of unexplained stuff.
There's some connection somewhere in there, but what it is, who knows?
We got to keep picking away at it, like you are doing, Colin, and like we're trying to do back here, like a lot of the other boots on the ground researchers out here in the States are doing, and eventually, we're going to figure this. We may not know what it is 100%, but we're going to get closer. The more we look at this, the more we talk about it, and the more we exchange ideas and gather the facts, the closer we're going to be to figuring this thing out.
No, you're right, Todd. Absolutely. And I love working with you guys. I mean, like I say, I'm totally jealous. You've got everything there. We don't seem to have anything. You've got everything. Any of you guys over there want to contact me, feel free, because I'd love to chat.
Oh yeah. We're going to stay in contact with you for sure, Colin. This has been really an awesome interview.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
For sure, and we're super glad that you came on with us and started off the UK series that Shane, we had been talking about doing, and you pulled it together. And thanks a lot, Shane, for sure for starting this connection between the U.S. and the U.K. And I think it's going to be a winner Dogman dinner when it's done. So,
I hope so. I really think so. And we couldn't have none other than the awesome Colin Keelty with us.
Yeah,
Colin, it was a true honor to have you on.
I don't think a lot of people agree with that.
Hey, well, in our book, that's all that matters.
That's right. That's right. We called it.
Thank you. I was like I say, when you contacted me, Shane, I was just blown away. I thought, no way. Are you having me on?
Yeah, no, we'd love to have you on in the near future, maybe even later in the year or next year sometime. And just maybe we can do part 2 and what you find in the next 6-7 months or so, and then we'll be in contact. We have you on Facebook, so
yeah. Well, I'm always about, so I'm always out there.
Yeah, your boots on the ground. You're as good as they get. So we appreciate what you coming on, Colin, and everyone that joined in the comments. We appreciate it. And Colin, if you guys want to get a hold of him, find him on Facebook, or you can reach out to him on YouTube under the Dark 66 podcast.
Yep, or colinkeelty.com. If you look at that,
that's my website.
It needs updating, lads. I'm sorry, I'm not really technically minded, but yeah, it really does need updating. But it's there. But you can contact me.
All right. Well, yeah, and I'll post up the pictures of your sketch on our Facebook group as soon as we're done with the interview. And Todd, I'll send them to you on Messenger as well, so you have them. And then I'll post up what you've got, your UK map dotted out with the pins of the sightings.
Well, I'll take some new ones. Well, I'll send you when I come. I have to go down to the downstairs computer. I'm upstairs. I suffer with noisy neighbour syndrome. So if I did it down in my study, you'd have picked them up because they have the TV really loud. I don't know if they're deaf or what, but anyway. So I'll come up here. But yeah, they're on my other PC, but I'll send you them, Shane. I promise you, I'll send you them.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. We thank you for coming on, Colin. You have a good one, okay?
You're welcome.
Care,
thank
Colin.
You very much.
Thanks a lot, man.
A pleasure meeting you, Todd.
Pleasure to meet you too. Have fun.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was an awesome interview, guys. A great way to start off the UK series. I'm stoked to have Colin back in the near future. Todd, what did you think?
Oh, man, I thought it was great. I love the UK-US connection. Outstanding idea, Shane, to do this. And Colin was an awesome first-up guest. I thought his encounters were really, really crazy and just, super fun to listen to and try to get new ideas of what we're dealing with here. So, yeah, I thought it was a great interview. I can't hardly wait to have the guy back and talk to some of his, as they like to refer to it over in the UK, they're his mates, So let's get him on,
definitely.
Sounds good.
We'll definitely get him back on for sure. I'd say either later in the year or early next year. Well, next week, we're doing part 2 of the UK series with Jamie Atkinson. So we're going to hear about his encounter and his research. You also can find him on Dogman Expedition on YouTube. And I think he's a part of a lot of the Dogman groups on Facebook. But Jamie Atkinson's who we're going to be interviewing next Saturday. So that's when he's available. It'll probably be on the West Coast time, it'll probably be, I think it's 1 or 2 o'clock. I think Todd, he's going to be 9 o'clock his time. So definitely going to be, that'll definitely be awesome to have him on as well. So yeah, well, like I tell everyone, we don't know if we have to prove to disprove out there. And like our tagline says at West Coast, the answer's out there. So good luck to everyone. Thanks for joining us. And if you're going out researching, please let someone know and go in a pack if you can, 3 to 4 people. Don't go alone. Or if you do go alone, please carry a firearm on you or something, because like Nick Valente says, we have the right to go into the woods. We also have the right to leave the woods. So we'll catch you guys all on the next one. And thank you for joining us.
Take care.
Later, Todd.
Later.